Hi guys, welcome to another Figuring Out Japan video. We sell all the coolest Japanese collectibles and figurines straight out of Japan, and you can find out more details about us in the description of this video, including our Facebook page and our online store. So in this video I'm actually not going to be talking about Japanese figures. I'm going to be talking about some figures released in the western part of the world, made by a company called Irwin Toy. And I've wanted to do this video for a long time, so if you do enjoy this and you liked it, then please let me know. I hate to say please like and subscribe, but leave a comment, do a dance, I don't care. Somehow let me know that you found this interesting and you'd like to see more of it, because I would, if people are interested, I would like to do more videos talking about some of the other figures that were released in the western part of the world, and more specifically some of the Japanese lines and some of the Japanese figures that have been released over the years, and doing a similar guide for those. So yeah, I guess hopefully there'll be a few of these kind of videos. In this video, I'm also going to talk a little bit about my own memories and some of my own experience with these figures. So if you find that interesting, then again let me know. If you don't want to see that in future videos, then same thing, let me know. So before we jump into the figures themselves, I want to mention a couple of things. So firstly, in this video, I will only be talking about the base line, the main line of figures that Irwin Toy released. They did release a lot of other figures, but if I cover those as well, the video will just be too long. So I'm only going to focus on the main line of figures, the 5.5 inch, which is about 13 centimeter line of figures. They were released from around 2000 to 2002. And I think they retailed for around about $8 at the time. Remember, that's sort of in the early 2000s, so in today's money, that is different. Irwin Toy themselves were a Canadian company. There's actually a very good link, which I'll put in the description of this video. This is from dragonball.wikia.com, and it talks about the history of Irwin Toy. This was actually their newer logo. And it's quite interesting actually to read through, but basically it talks about the history and how they sort of had a monopoly distributing toys in Canada, and then as sort of globalization happened and the laws were relaxed, a lot of American companies started to distribute their own toys. So Irwin then started to try to get revenue by distributing Japanese toys, and that was very successful, but in the end, I guess for some of their other toy lines and other sort of legal factors, they ended up going bankrupt. So I'll let you pause the video and read this in your own time. Yeah, what else was I going to say? So let's jump into the figures. There was some other stuff I was going to say which I forgot, but I'll remember as I go. So these are what the boxes actually looked like for these figures. You could see very clearly the figures, so you didn't actually have to open them if you didn't want to see it. And they did come with accessories such as a card or a medallion. So you can see here the card in the late, I think that was from Series 7 onwards, and the 3 Dragon Balls. There's what the backs of them looked like, and these are the medallion ones that were continued until Series 6. And the medallions were actually pretty cool. I have some more pictures of these. Oh, that's what I was going to mention. So I actually got these images, a lot of these images from figurecollections.com. I don't have any affiliation with this site, but I did get a lot of the figures. It's actually very hard to find pictures of some of these old figures, so that's where I got the images from. So I wanted to give them credit for that. So the Dragon Balls, this is what the Dragon Balls look like. They're pretty small. It's pretty hard to get like the 7-star Dragon Ball and things like that, but that's what they look like. And the medallions looked like this. They're about, I think they're about 5 or 6 centimeters in diameter, so they are pretty big. And yeah, they're actually made of metal, so they are actually quite good quality. So let's have a look at the actual figures themselves. So there were 11 series in total. This is series 1, so it's Nappa, Raditz, Master Roshi with Turtle, Garlic Jr. with Orb, so the Orb is missing. A lot of the accessories actually in these pictures are missing, so I'll try and point them out where I can. And Bulma with Ginyu Frog. You'll notice there is no Vegeta from the Saiyan Saga. The lineup is quite interesting, almost quite random in a lot of these series. But these are the only figures essentially from the Saiyan Saga. I think this Master Roshi is from the World's Strongest, the second movie, the second Dragon Ball Z movie. But some kind of rare figures here that haven't really been done in Japan, like Garlic Jr. and Bulma, Ginyu Frog, that sort of thing. I think there was also a special edition release that had, I think it was these three, Nappa, Raditz, and Master Roshi with Turtle, as a special 3-pack, but I think the figures were exactly the same. So Series 2 was Burter, Jeice, Yajirobe, Chiaotzu, and second form Frieza. I'm pretty sure Yajirobe came with a sword. Looks like he's missing some sort of accessory here. These were the only Ginyu Force figures, so they never released Captain Ginyu, and this was also the only Frieza figure that they released in this line. Also, they never released Tien, so interesting that they did Chiaotzu. So that's why it says kind of an interesting lineup. Actually, they might have had Korin. I think Korin, the cat, might have come with Yajirobe as well. I'm sorry, I forget after all these years. Maybe you guys can leave comments if you know. So Series 3, Chi-Chi, King Kai with Bubbles, Dende, Trunks, and Krillin. So again, some figures that were never released in Japan, such as King Kai and Dende. I actually picked these two figures up recently just by chance. I saw them in a shop in Japan, which I was really happy about because I wanted the King Kai figure. So yeah, interesting lineup. So Bubbles came with King Kai, so these came together, and you can take the vest off Dende if you want. Don't know why you'd want to, but you can. And Trunks also comes with a sword. Chi-Chi might have come with something as well, I don't remember. So Series 4, Android 17, Android 18, Piccolo, Goku, and Vegeta. Piccolo, you can take his hat off. I don't think you can take the cape off. Pretty cool, Android 17. I don't know if you can take the gun out. I don't think you can because it doesn't look like he can hold it. So yeah, pretty cool. I really think they need to make an Android 17 like Banpresto Japanese figure. They did in the Figure Arts line, but yeah. And this Goku was actually the first Dragon Ball Z figure I ever bought. I remember the place, the shop, the price, everything. I still have it. That was November 2001. And you can actually see his logo on the front and the back, which was a really cool level of detail for back then. So that was Series 4. Series 5, Dr. Gero, or in Japanese, Dr. Gero. Super Saiyan Goku, Super Saiyan Gohan, Super Saiyan Vegeta, and Teen Trunks. So again, I mean, recently we had the Resolution of Soldiers Trunks, but before that, this was pretty much the only long-haired Trunks figure that was out there. Also, I don't think they've released the caped version of this Gohan either in Japan. The Dr. Gero, or Gero, you can take his hat off, and I actually also got a couple of images of that. So that was pretty cool, again, for back then. And when Banpresto did the S Cultures Series 1, Dr. Gero, you could also take his hat off in that figure, which was released 10 years after this one. So I'm almost certain that they got the idea from this figure. And also the red energy suction thing is shown in the hand as well. Actually, it looks half closed. I actually have this figure, and that's actually how it looks. It's like a closing shutting gun or something. But it's cool that they had that level of detail, because the Banpresto figure, they didn't show the red circles on the hands. And I also wanted to mention that you can't take the armor off. You may have seen figures that you can, but that's not this line, so you can't actually take the armor off these figures. And there were slight discrepancies in the manufacturing process. I actually have this figure, and the eye piece below the eye, it was like it had bubbled, like even when I bought it, and it really bothered me actually. But that was the only one left in the shop when I got it. So, but yeah. So Series 6, um, you may look at these figures and think they're not much, but when these came out, they were really, really cool. I mean, the level of detail, there was a big jump. I mean, if you look at the armor, the detail, the muscles, even the Saiyan eyes, they just look meaner. They look more Saiyan-y than even Series 5. And it's very hard to see on the computer screen, but the hair actually has lots of little red dots to make it look more realistic. And even, the white isn't just a plain white, even on Android 19's face. So I could confidently say that these figures were better than the Japanese figures at that time. So Irwin Toy really did make some very good quality figures, at this time. They really were very cool. And I actually decided I was going to get all of these except Android 19 because I didn't really care about him. And then when I saw him in the shop, I'm like, I got to get him too because he just looks so cool. So this series, Super Saiyan Future Trunks, really love that figure actually. Super Saiyan Goku, really love that figure too. Android 16, you can actually take one of his hands off because if you remember in his fight against Cell, he does actually have the ability to do that. So one of his hands actually comes out. I forget, I think it is the left hand. Actually, maybe it's the right hand. I don't remember. And then Perfect Cell, who comes with Cell Jr. and Android 19. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is that, as I said, the price doesn't change or didn't change back then, even though some of the figures were really quite big. So with the bigger figures like Perfect Cell, which also came with Cell Jr., to sort of help reduce the cost and to keep it consistent, the cost consistent, they actually did sort of cut corners, or not cut corners, but they changed the joints. So these figures are actually, they do have articulation, so you can pose them, you can move them, and usually, for example, the arms, they have ball joints, so you can move them up and down as well as left and right. But with something like Cell, it's on like a swivel joint or a pin joint, and there's sort of less plastic and it's easier to manufacture. So that's kind of how they did it. But with some figures like Android 19, it would have been very hard to have a pin joint in the leg because it's so thick. So it's not like they were just trying to cut costs. But there was an element of that. I think these actually swivel. I think the arms actually swivel around clockwise and anti-clockwise. So they did have some good level of articulation. So Series 7, as I mentioned before, you then got a card instead of a medallion with the figures. So this series was Saiyaman Gohan. I don't think you could change the head. I'm pretty sure of that. Goku, Spopovich. Love that Spopovich figure. I don't know why. Majin Vegeta and Super Saiyan Teen Gohan. This figure was also available in one of the bike figures that Irwin Toy released, but it actually had gold hair instead of yellow. And I think they actually re-released this figure as Super Saiyan Majin Vegeta. So I think they officially put it down as a misprint, but anyway, so there are actually two versions of this figure. Series 8. So quite a few of these figures are quite rare. They don't actually, have one of these in in Japan. So Teen Gohan, when he fights Dabura, so his Saiyaman outfits come off. Videl, who actually comes with a baby dinosaur. Goku, Angelic Goku, which they recently did in the dramatic showcase by Banpresto. Goten and Trunks came together. And Dabura, who also comes with a sword. His cape is also really cool. This is probably my favorite figure actually in the whole line. The Dabura. The sword is really cool as well. It's not, the picture there isn't a good angle, but it's a really cool design. And I actually used that as inspiration when I had to make a letter opener in school. And I actually made like a snake design with this kind of blade coming out the side. It took me weeks to finish, but I still have it. I actually made plastic case and stuff. So it really sort of sparked your imagination as a kid. Series 9, Majin Buu, Krillin with hair, Pui Pui, Barbadi, and Mr. Satan. Majin Buu is a massive figure. I have it. The package is actually thicker to fit him in. And he also came with Dabura Cookie and B, which is the dog, Mr. Satan's dog. Barbadi also came with a Cocoon, but just a little Cocoon, is quite small. But again, some pretty rare figures. Krillin with hair, Pui Pui. Can't really get figures of those characters in Japan. And until the last 12 months, there wasn't really any good Mr. Satan figures either. But now we've had the Resolution Soldiers and the S-Cultures. That Barbadi is pretty sick too as well. I have that one. Series 10, we have Majin. I think they actually might have fixed the packaging as well. I think at first they said Majin Vegeta, but you'll notice he doesn't actually have the M on his forehead. This is just Super Saiyan Vegeta with Halo. Teen Gohan. Actually, it might have been this one that they said they made a mistake and then released it as Super Saiyan. I don't remember. Yamcha, who actually comes with Pui, and I think I had a picture of that just showing the Pui. So you did get Pui with that figure. Then the Gotenks and Yakon, and Yakon's probably the biggest figure in the whole line. He's huge. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention with these figures is they don't come on a base, and they're not that difficult to stand. But I noticed here the Yakon, I don't actually have the Yakon figure, but they have this on a black stand, so maybe he was quite hard to stand up. I don't know. But yeah, again, never had a Yakon figure released in Japan, so some of these are some gems. And then the last series, Supreme Kai and Kibito actually came together, so they were one in one package. Really cool that you get essentially two figures for the price of one, and we haven't really had those characters released in Japan except for the WCF figures. Super Saiyan 3 Goku, SS Gohan in Kai outfit. Had a few people leave comments saying they want to see one in Japan of this. Well, there isn't one, but you can get the Irwin toy one, and it does come with the Z sword. Evil Boo and Mother Bulma, Grandma Bulma, whatever you want to call her, grown-up Bulma there. And that was it. And I remember waiting for Series 12, and it never came, unfortunately. And yeah, Irwin Toy went bankrupt, and that was it. But I think they kind of took it to the end of Dragon Ball Z anyway, and Jax did a lot of the GT stuff, and then they went back and released like twin packs of, like Goku vs Frieza and that sort of thing. But I think Irwin Toy, they really went for realism, and I think Jax kind of went more for the cartoony look. But I personally just like the Irwin Toy figures, and I think, yes, a lot of them look outdated now, but at the time, they were pretty cool figures, and I certainly still have all the ones that I bought from back then in my collection. I've kept them all over the years. So I hope you enjoyed that video. I'd love to read some of the comments that people make of their own memories, and maybe their own value add or color that they can add to these, because I know some of you watching these may not be old enough to remember when they came out. And as I said, if you want to see more of these videos, make sure you let me know. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.